North Carolina, a state in the eastern coast of the USA that has a wide variety of different climates. However, recently, over the years, climate change in North Carolina has been getting worse.
The release of harmful chemicals into the atmosphere from within this state and from all over the world has caused a concerning amount of climate change that will only get worse if nothing is done to lower or prevent the emissions.
North Carolina is one of the better states and has decreased the amount of greenhouse gas emissions down to 23.7% since 2005. But it's not enough to stop any changes from happening, and we are still releasing high amounts of harmful chemicals. Roughly 150.1 million metric tons of CO2e, or carbon dioxide emissions, released as of 2017, most of which comes from fuel combustion. From this, the primary polluter we produce is carbon dioxide, with the methane coming in second.
In a report made in 2017 by the NC Department of Environmental Quality, it was found that electrical use was the highest emitter of the carbon dioxide equivalents we produce, about 52.6 million metric tons. In total, North Carolina has a gross emission of 150 million metric tons and a net emission of 116 million metric tons thanks to carbon sinks.
With this in mind, let's talk about what kind of effects these harmful emissions have had. When we look at the water levels in this state, whether talking about lakes or rivers or the whole Atlantic Ocean, we can see some concerning changes. First, let's have a quick look at the sea level. In the coast of North Carolina, the sea level has increased by 11 inches since 1950. The speed of this increase has only become more rapid over the past decade, rising by over an inch every 2 years.
The main cause of this has been the melting of ice or glaciers in the North and South Poles, which caused not only the slowdown of the Gulf Stream, but also put more water into the ocean, which can have some negative effects on our state. The amount of flooding due to king tides can become even worse and cause more destructive flooding, which can also cause the barrier islands to be completely submerged in the ocean. Many industries and homes that build properties along the coast will lose not only their money, but also their homes. This will also cost taxpayers a hefty amount, as the state plans to spend over $2 billion to develop solutions to this, help re-nourish beaches, and help against any flooding that happens in the future.
However, beaches aren't the only area where the water level is rising. Many of our local lakes have also experienced drastic changes in water levels. If we take a look at our graph here, we see that recently the water levels have been spiking to above normal levels. These spikes can signify that the lake flooded and discharged tons of water into the surrounding area. We haven't seen too many dips in this particular lake, but if there was, it would mean that there is a drought. This information matches up with our survey, as 32.4% of people who took it said that their area had been affected by floods.
This flooding can have some severe effects, such as displacing people, destroying natural habitats, and destroying crops. For research purposes, we interviewed Dr. Jones, an expert in marine biology, to see what she thought about this issue.
Dr. Jones was only reachable via email, so we will be acting out her responses.
So, what are your first thoughts about climate change and its effect on the lake? Is it a major concern or an issue that we have plenty of time to address?
Climate change is a major concern for the whole planet, including Jordan Lake. We don't have unlimited time to address it.
Do you think the water levels of lakes are stable or inconsistent and will only continue to get worse?
I believe that the water levels in lakes are inconsistent and will get worse if no action is taken.
Have you or somebody that you know been affected by this, such as floods or droughts?
Not personally, but the weather in general is getting more unstable as temperatures rise. We will see more natural disasters.
How do you think this will affect the future of the state of North Carolina?
I believe this will have a negative effect on the future of North Carolina and will cause more natural disasters and unstable temperatures.
Do you think that there are other problems relating to this topic that we should be worried about instead of this?
No,
The problem is, it hasn't gotten so-called bad enough for people to have major concern about it.
One of the most common things that people say we should do is change our way of life, switch to better energy sources, recycle, and use less waste. But do you think people are willing to change their lifestyle so quickly? How can the switch be made easier?
I don't think so. In the United States, we are 25% of the climate problem, yet we don't sign global agreements to stop it. Too much of our economy is based on fossil fuels politically. The average American probably has 5 electronics. For example, cell phones have gotten out of control. Every time we charge them, we use up power, and there are consequences to this. This problem wasn't that bad until the 2000s on, when now everyone has electronics they use daily.
Would you be willing to change your lifestyle knowing many others won't follow? Doesn't it seem hopeless that even though you change, others won't, and this problem will continue to grow and become worse? How do you remain positive in spite of this?
I do a lot to reduce my footprint. I keep my phone 100% off when it's not needed. I recycle, and when I see recycle not put in the right place, I take it out and move it. Just being an advocate helps.
Are there any other comments that you would like to add?
The major problems with climate change are that it's global, long-term, and political.
Thank you for your time. I hope this helps people in our community.
As we can see, Dr. Jones has a good opinion. Luckily, there are quite a few organizations that are actively trying to address and correct this issue. For example, there is the U.S. Mayor Climate Protection Agreement and Sustainability Tools for Assessing and Rating Communities. This organization has a goal of meeting or even exceeding the standards set for reducing climate change pollution for the Kyoto Protocol. STAR is instituted as a national certification system meant to benchmark, assess, and rate the sustainability research of communities.
So, in summary, we can see that climate change is indeed a big problem here in North Carolina. We are facing rising in both sea level and lake levels, which can have catastrophic effects on our home. But we are working on improving this. We may not be doing the best or even trying the most, but in the end, we are trying, because who here in North Carolina wants even more bad weather? I thank you for watching our video.